Alright guys, I'm Dre, and I'm gonna be speedrunning Sonic Mania. This is my submission video for GDQ Express. Alright, so here we go. I'll try my best to explain things as they're happening, but it's a little difficult with a game like this. Alright, so the first thing I should say is, obviously this is Tails. This is an any percent category, but we will be getting all the emeralds, because that's actually faster than not getting them. And to get the emeralds, we're going to be using a technique called air staking, which I will explain in a second as soon as I get there. So basically, hold right, then jump to the left, and vice versa. And that gives you a large burst of speed that you're not supposed to get. And we're going to be doing that for every single emerald. And there's one more on the stage. Other than that, Green Hill 1's pretty straightforward. Though one mistake can cost you a lot of time here. Now, just a few things to go over. Tails does not have the drop dash, but he's still a very fun character. His flight can be very useful in some ways. Alright, here's Emerald 2. Same technique. There we go. But yeah, going back to Tails, his flight can help you get in places you're obviously not supposed to. And once we get all the Chaos Emeralds, flight in a super form becomes kind of broken in some ways, and you'll see that later in the run. Alright, so we got a boss fight coming up. I'm gonna go for the quick kill, of course. Alright, here we go. There we go. That's actually a quick kill for that boss. Alright, Act 2 is a pretty straightforward stage. There's just one jump that we need to make sure we make. Otherwise, we'll lose a bunch of time. There's also an emerald here in this stage. Alright, that jump I was talking about is coming up now. Made it. So, this top path is much faster than the bottom path. Alright, and Emerald 3 coming up. Alright, that was actually a pretty good Act 2, other than getting hit once. Alright, but going back to Tails' flight, you actually want to be flying like as least as you can, simply because his flight is very slow. You only want to do it when you get vertical height. The only exception is flying against ceilings. You actually get a bit more speed when you're doing that. Alright, you might recognize this boss from Sonic 2, but he is much easier now. His hitbox is only his arms, instead of like the rest of his body now. Alright, so we have a cutscene skip coming up. This is actually a 2-frame window. Let's see if I get it. Nope, but there is a backup though. There we go. So the cutscene skips in this game, you basically need to press start as soon as the scoreboard goes away, and it's a 2-frame window. And it's obviously very difficult. But there are many of those in the game. And they do save a lot of time. Alright, took a little bit of unnecessary damage there. Alright, so we have 2 emeralds in this stage. One of them's coming up now. Here we go. This is one of the tougher ones to get. And we got it. The emeralds are probably the only place in the game where I really need to worry, because I could just fall off the stage. Then I'd have to, go for the emerald again. Alright, emerald number 5 is actually very close by. And here we go, it's coming up now. Got it, just barely. You can actually get that emerald slightly quicker if you're a bit better with your movement there. we're gonna do the rest of the stage now, and we're gonna see one of the first uses of Tails' flight here. That's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about going up here. I don't know why I didn't land on that platform. Lost a bit of time. But yeah, as I was saying, you want to use Tails' flight to get more vertical height than anything. You don't want to do it for anything else, with a couple of exceptions. Alright, boss fight coming up. This one we're just gonna do some damage boosting to kill him much earlier. Because normally you have to wait a very long time to get hits off on him. Alright, there we go. And there's Act 1. Now Act 2's coming up. There's a lot of things to go over here. So this stage is very cycle heavy. It's based off of one cycle at the end of the stage, which obviously starts at the beginning of the run. So our time in Act 2 is usually about the same every time, as long as we make that cycle. But one small mistake can cost you the cycle. Alright. Gonna damage boost here. That way we can just spin back on the spikes and take the line. We're gonna do a slope jump here. That skips a small section of the stage. Now if we hold jump here, we're gonna get a boost off this item box. Which is kind of pointless because we hit the spring on accident. Alright, and we're gonna use flight here to skip a small section by just flying over this ramp. And we didn't make our cycle, unfortunately. We just barely missed it. This is what I was talking about here. These little platforms. Anyway, Emerald 6 coming up. Gonna concentrate here, it's a tough one. And we got it. That one's one of the more difficult ones. Arguably the most difficult one in the game. Alright, so the boss fight of Act 2 is a reference to Mean Bean Machine, which was also a reference to Puyo Puyo Tetris. It's a neat little boss that they threw in, but unfortunately, since it is Puyo, it's all RNG. So I basically need to beat the computer here by getting some good combos and chains. So it's part skill, part RNG. Nothing good so far, unfortunately. Oh, this actually looks promising, never mind. Alright, never mind, we could have a good combo going on here. A bit of red here. I just need a blue and I'm set. And this is what I'm talking about. We haven't gotten a single blue piece in who knows how long. Alright, here we go. Alright, and this should hopefully kill him. Yep, that actually killed him. So that actually wasn't too bad. It could have been a lot worse. But obviously, if you're a great Puyo player, you can kill him much easier than that. Alright, so you can actually skip this cutscene here. But it saves virtually no time, so we're not gonna do it. Alright, so Studiopolis, the first original stage in Mania. Really loved the music, but sadly it's about to get ruined by speed chews throughout the entire stage. We're also gonna get our last emerald here. We're about to get another set of speed chews coming up as well. And here's another example of flight, using a much better way. Alright, speed shoes again. And I'm actually collecting rings in this stage because I'm gonna get super tails coming up. So I need to make sure I have 50 rings. Alright, Emerald 7. This one's a lot dangerous looking. It's a lot more dangerous than it looks. Because when I first did that stage, I was just like, whoa, there's so many holes in the ground, but they're actually really hard to run into. Alright, so now we have Super Tails. Super Tails has, obviously, invincibility and increased jump height. And we're going to use them for a trick coming up now, actually. That involves jumping over the majority of the stage. And hopefully we just got it. Nope, we missed it, unfortunately. So that requires very strict timing. So it's going to cost us maybe about 10 seconds or so for missing that. But no big deal. Alright, we got a boss fight here. Now this boss fight is practically an auto-scroller. Yeah, auto-scroller, excuse me. But unfortunately, there's a lot of RNG involved based on the attacks that he does. So that pattern wasn't too bad that we just got. And we fly through the stage transitions there because it's a bit faster. Alright, and that was decent RNG. So what I'm talking about here is the order that the missiles come in. Because we're running into the blue missile here. And if he shoots the blue missile first, then obviously that's the best RNG. If he shoots it last, then that's the worst. So, once again, not much to worry about here. Except we are running out of rings, so now we actually need to be careful. Alright, but we just got more, so it's okay. It's actually very easy to die here if you're not careful. Alright, so that was actually pretty good RNG for that boss. It's actually some of the best I've gotten in a while. Because this boss can really... It doesn't really make or break a run, but you can lose a lot of time here, just because of RNG alone. Alright, so Act 2 coming up, which has a very annoying enemy. Which you'll see him in a bit. And we also have another glitch coming up. And this is the annoying enemy here. You have to hit him 3 times to progress. If you're lucky, you can hit him once or twice. Or you can just damage boost through him, but I like to keep my rings. That way I can turn to Super Tails. And now we're flying through most of the stage. Now here's a trick coming up. Super Tails. We're just going to hit the spring at a certain angle, and we'll just clip through most of the stage here. And that skips a huge chunk of the stage. That stage is normally about a minute or so longer. And now we have a boss fight, and thanks to Super Tails, it's pretty much good. You normally have to do a lot of waiting during that boss. Alright, and we have another cutscene skip coming up. Let's hope I get it. No, unfortunately we didn't. Once again, it's a 2-frame window, so it's pretty difficult. Alright, this is another cycle-heavy stage, Flying Battery from Sonic & Knuckles. One of my personal favorites. I'm glad I made it in this game. Alright, so the beginning of the stage, there's a lot going on. You basically need to be very careful to not get hit by anything, so I'm going to need Super Tails. And once again, it's a cycle-heavy stage. And we did make a few mistakes, so we might not make the good cycle. Alright, and we should have enough rings for Super Tails coming up now. Yeah, we do. transform. Unfortunately, turning into Super Tails kind of ruins the stage music, which I'm really not a fan of. It's very unfortunate that happens. But yeah, we just missed our cycle here. But that's no big deal. We lose about, I think, 7 seconds for that cycle. And now we have to wait on these missiles. If we do this right, by the time we get here, those missiles are just activating, like, at the perfect time, basically. Stumbling over my words here. Alright, boss fight coming up. Once again, as Super Tails, it's kind of a joke. You're probably going to hear that for every boss. All we basically need to do is just fly into them, and that's it. Alright, and I'm going to go on the right side of the screen here to make this cutscene go by a little faster. You'll see why when the cutscene starts. And that's because you get picked up by an arm that takes you further to the right. Alright, so Flying Battery 2. This has arguably the hardest trick in the game. Hopefully I make it. If you do it, it saves a big chunk of time. It saves the majority of the stage. It involves a very hard flight with Super Tails, where you fly under the level. So hopefully we get it. I'm always gonna go for it. And we got some silk jumps here to gain a little bit of speed. Now we're gonna transform, and we're gonna go for this. We're flying underneath the stage. And we made it, nice. So that's a very precise trick. You're flying basically underneath the entire stage, and there is a very specific way you need to do it. If you don't fly at the right angle, you actually just die, no matter what. Alright, and I'm gonna try to one-cycle this boss. Alright, unfortunately I didn't get the one cycle. That's fine. I mean, we got the Flying Battery 2 skip, so that's pretty awesome that we still got that. Alright, next stage is Press Garden. Another new stage to Mania. And at first I didn't like this stage very much, but now I'm a huge fan. Alright, not much with this stage other than the conveyor belts and a couple of platform cycles. But we're gonna turn into Super Tails right away by grabbing this big ring. There we go. And we got a platform cycle at the very beginning. Lost a bit of speed there by jumping at the wrong time. And we just hit the cycle at the right time. Perfect. And that's the only cycle we really have to worry about. Now the rest of the stage is pretty straightforward. It's mostly just tricks with conveyor belts. Just bouncing off them at the right angles. Like, there's one coming up here. Hopefully I get it. Nice. So, if you don't make it up there, you just have to jump back up normally, but just bouncing off the conveyor belt saves time. Alright, we got a small skip here. We're just gonna fly up here instead of taking a normal path. And we're also gonna fly up here to skip going down the slope. And now we're coming up on a boss fight. Now this boss fight normally takes a while, but since we're Super Tails, we can just jump straight to him. And thanks to that, we skip him having to destroy all these boxes, which saves a ton of time. Now I'm gonna skip this stage transition here by flying until the scoreboard's up. And now I can spin dash. I can just spin dash out of it. That saves a bit of time, because normally we have to wait for Tails to walk into the next stage. Alright, Act 2 has some unique mechanics with turning into an ice block, which we'll use to our advantage later. And again, we're collecting rings to make sure we have enough for Super Tails. Alright, got a couple of precise jumps here. And we're gonna turn into ice on purpose here. And it's gonna take us very far in the stage. And we're gonna transform at the end. Alright, so we're gonna break through these blocks, transform before we hit the spikes, so we can use the spikes to jump up here. And that takes us to the boss. So that was actually a pretty solid Act 2. And this boss is pretty straightforward. It's mostly just jumping into him. Nice. Alright, we got another cutscene skip coming up. Oh, I keep forgetting a split. And we just skipped the cutscene, nice. But yeah, sorry guys, I keep forgetting the split. I mean, that's not gonna matter during the marathon, obviously. Alright, Stardust Speedway Act 1. Again, Stardust Speedway from Sonic CD. One of my personal favorites. And I'm screwing up what's time here, oh my goodness. Alright, I'm just gonna fly up here. Alright, but this stage is not very cycle heavy or anything like that. It's all skill. Not saying cycles aren't skill or anything. Ooh, that's not good. I am really botching this stage. Alright, let's get back up here. At least I know how to recover. But yeah, this is a horrible Act 1. Usually, Act 1 is like sub 1 minute, and I'm already at a minute. But this act, for the most part, is just knowing where to jump. Alright, now we're gonna transform. Sadly ruining the good music. Alright, I forgot to jump there. This is just not a good Act 1, unfortunately. But it's fine. We had good times in Press Garden, especially. So that kind of makes up for it. But yeah, we're just gonna ignore these gold splits that I have. I'm obviously not gonna save this run. Anyway, as you saw, that boss is familiar from Sonic CD, and he's pretty much a joke in this game. Alright, so we have a cutscene skip coming up. Hopefully I get it. Nice. That one saves a big chunk of time, because that cutscene normally takes a while. Alright, Act 2 is pretty straightforward. But we have to be very careful and make sure we have as many rings as we can for the boss. I'm gonna ride this rocket, collect all the rings on the way up, and gonna get this big ring. Gonna transform now, since we have more than 80 rings. That should be enough for the boss. And now we just cruise to the boss. And the boss is a very familiar foe. If you've played, well, pretty much any Sonic game at this point. The boss is Metal Sonic. Now this boss is pretty straightforward, except for the middle section, which is all RNG, based on the attacks he does. So the first part is, you know, the usual race. So there's really not much going on here. Mostly just jumping in the right places. Alright. Now the attacks he uses here are RNG, and hopefully we get the good pattern. Alright, so that's the attack we want. And that's the attack we don't want, which it takes longer. We have to hit him 4 times here. So there's 2. There's 3. Alright, so not bad. Not perfect RNG, but still very good. So if you get bad RNG there, you could potentially run out of rings during this fight, which could be very dangerous. And once again, we're back at the race section. So flying as super tails, you actually keep the majority of your speed, which is nice. Because normally you don't. And we definitely have enough rings to finish this fight. So now we actually killed Metal Sonic by just running into him with invincibility. I mean, just look at the spikes, they do nothing now. Alright, so basically just stay lined up with him. And that's Metal Sonic. Alright, now coming up is Hydro City. And Hydro City, definitely one of my favorite water levels from a Sonic game. And Act 1 is very cycle heavy, just like a lot of other things in this game. So we need to go through as quickly as possible to make sure we make the cycle near the end of the stage. Other than that, it's pretty simple. There are a couple of clips though, now that I think about it. Alright, so let's make sure we don't get hit here. Alright, we're gonna slow down. Let's fall down here. Alright, we're gonna activate this lever because that's actually required. Making somewhat good time here. And there's a clip coming up here. Just jumping through this ramp, which saves a lot of time. Alright, and I grabbed that water shield because even with super you can drown. So if I grab that, I don't have to worry about that. It's not required, but it's very helpful. And unfortunately we missed our cycle here, so we have to wait a little bit. But luckily we can just dog paddle up there with Tails. Alright, we've got another clip coming up. Jumping through that ramp. That one's not as big as the last one, but it saves a pretty good amount of time. Oops, didn't mean to jump there. Alright, we got a boss fight coming up. It's also interesting to see Eggman in a Speedo. Or Robotnik, if you want to call him that, either way. Anyway, the first part of this boss is mostly just, you know, swimming up to the top before you get crushed. And not running out of air, which air is not a problem anymore. Alright, now part 2 of this boss is basically using the machine from Sonic 3 that he used to fight you, but we're using it against him now. And I thought this was hilarious the first time I got here. Fortunately, I'm messing up this boss horribly. I need to make sure I don't suck up the bombs first, which will end up hitting me. So, not a very good boss fight, unfortunately. It should be over now. Alright, last hit, I believe. Yep. There we go. So, not the best Act 1 since we missed our cycle and ruined the boss fight. Okay, anyway, for these signposts, it's actually best to run into them slowly. That way they don't go spinning up into the air. It actually saves a bit of time doing that. Alright, now Act 2 has some of my favorite music in the game. I usually just shut up and let my viewers enjoy the sound of Act 2. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. There's a couple of tricks here, which I'll explain when I get there. Like jumping up here and then just flying. Which is normally faster if you actually make it up to the ledge. I ruined it on accident. Now this is a Tails or Knuckles only shortcut here. Saves a bit of time. Got spin dash there. Now we're gonna fly up here. This saves a big chunk of time, because you're supposed to go through a bunch of loops and such and go up here, like, later on. But you can just fly there. That skips a big chunk of the stage. Now we're gonna turn super up here. You'll see why later on. Alright, so since we have our water shield still, we don't need to grab that one. Now we've got another clip coming up, which is very easy as super. You just have to hold jump and you'll just clip right through that slope. Without super, that clip is much harder to do. Alright, boss fight time. Now this boss is also RNG. We want very specific patterns of the blocks coming up, but unfortunately it's random. If we get a very good pattern, we'll one-cycle them. And we didn't, unfortunately. If it takes 4 hits with that pattern, we can only get 3. And this is the pattern we wanted. With that pattern, you can hit them 4 times. And then this is a familiar boss from Sonic 3. But we're just gonna kill him easily with Super Tails by flying into him. No big deal. Now let's just hit the capsule while we're up here. Why not? Alright, this isn't that bad of a run. Alright, so Mirage Saloon Act 1. Mirage Saloon, another new stage. A very good one at that. Now, Act 1 is an auto-scroller, sadly. Similar to Sky Chase from Sonic 2. Now, even though it's an auto-scroller, I want to collect enough rings to go Super Tails. Because there is a glitch in the stage where you skip a small section of it. You'll see that when I get to it. But other than that, not much to worry about. We just have to make sure we don't get hit here. It's no big deal if we do. We'll just have to do a, like, 10-second train section. But I would like to not get hit. It's not like a run-ending thing if it happens, though. So, as much as I would love to just sit here, I need to concentrate to make sure I actually get enough rings. And this glitch I'm doing is obviously only possible on an all emeralds run, because I need Super Tails. And this is another one of the reasons why all emeralds is faster, because of stuff like this that you can only do with Super Tails. We have enough rings. We're not going to transform yet, because the glitch involves transforming at the right time. So now we can just sit at the lower left of the screen and wait it out. Now what I'm going to do is, when the screen starts moving just to the left, I jump in the air and transform, which is now. Now I move down here, spin dash, and I should hit this checkpoint. And now I kill myself. And the run's over. Nah, I'm just kidding. So, we actually hit that checkpoint much earlier than we were supposed to, by tricking the game into thinking that we were in the background playing. And that just skipped the entire train section. And that's a nice little skip there. And this boss fight is a bit of RNG because of its attacks, just like a lot of stuff in this game, unfortunately. But it looks like we're actually getting a pretty good pattern right now. Alright, so not a bad boss. Very good boss, actually. But yeah, you can get screwed over by having him just move to one side of the screen each time. And you lose a lot of time if he does that. But it's very rare. It very rarely happens where he just spams that attack. Alright, we got a nice cutscene featuring a very familiar character if you are a huge Sonic fan and follow up some of the more like obscure games back in the day. Alright, Mirage Saloon Act 2 has a huge skip in it, which we're hopefully going to get, because it's very difficult to pull off. If we do the skip, we skip a boss. But first, we need Super Form. So I'm going to make sure I get all the rings here I can. Which we did, so we can transform early. So I'm going to be quiet during this skip. I'm going to let the skip do the talking. We're almost there. Alright, so skip's coming up now after we jump into this gun. I'm going to concentrate here. I got it. So we just jumped over the boss, basically. So that skip is actually pretty difficult. You have to have very precise timing with your jumps. Also, cutscene skip coming up. So that skip involves jumping so high into the air that you jump over all the invisible walls at the top of the stage and you just fly over them. You have to have a lot of height, though. Alright, Oil Ocean Act 1. Nice stage from Sonic 2 here. Alright, messed up that jump a little bit. I hope you're not a fan of the music, because we're about to ruin it very quickly by getting Super Form now. But this stage is pretty straightforward. No cycles or anything to really worry about. Well, I guess other than the rising platforms, but they're not too huge. But other than that, the stage is pretty simple. Make sure I don't jump into one of the obstacles that like launches me. Alright, so that was Act 1, boss fight coming up. And he is an absolute joke. So even with no emeralds, you can kill that boss that quickly. They had him just standing there too much at the beginning of the fight. So I'm going to stand in this very specific area, so I skip a bit of the stage transition. There we go, that skips us sliding on the oil at the beginning of that. Alright, so we have a big skip in this act, which involves skipping the boss. Hopefully we get it, because if not, it's a very long boss. So we should get it. And then this stage is basically a good example of what would happen if she lit a match in Oil Ocean. Just nothing but fire. Alright, so here's the skip. We're gonna fly up here, then jump down, bounce off these speed boosts, and then fly across the stage. Well, across half of the stage. We have to land. We're gonna land here. And we're gonna fly across the rest. And it looks like we got it. And that skips the boss. And once again, you're flying over a couple of invisible walls at the top of the stage. Just like Mirage Saloon. But that saves a huge chunk of time. Alright, Lava Reef from Sonic & Knuckles. One of my favorite stages of all time, personally. Alright, so I'm gonna be short one ring. We're gonna want exactly 50. Because you're pretty much gonna have 50 rings if you do this portion correctly. Oh, actually, we might be okay. Never mind, we're fine. Or not. We missed a ring. So, you want to transform super early there, but it's no big deal if you don't, because you can just transform here, but it just saves a bit of time. And we got the nice conveyors here, returning from Sonic & Knuckles. But yeah, this stage, if you're not careful, you can easily get crushed. Coming up in a few seconds here. You can get crushed by these things very easily if you're not careful. But luckily, they're not running on cycles or anything. They just kind of drop as soon as you get there. I'm gonna collect all these rings here just in case. Alright, just stop it to make sure I don't get crushed here. Oh man, I'm getting kind of tired. Sorry, it's like 1 AM and I'm trying to make this video. Alright. But yeah, other than that, the stage is pretty straightforward for the most part. Alright, boss fight coming up, which involves a lot of waiting. So just a fun fact, you can actually soft lock the game here. If I spin dashed on the right side of the screen, it kind of glitches out this boss. Alright, so now we're gonna wait. Tails is just gonna stand in the lava because he doesn't care. And now we can hurt the boss. We didn't get the 3-hit, unfortunately. It's a bit of a tight window. Alright, so we got a cutscene skip coming up. Hopefully we get it. If not, it's not one of the larger ones, so it's no big deal. Nope. But yeah, this cutscene isn't very long. The only major cutscene skips are Green Hill 1, and then Press Garden and Stardust Speedway. Alright, so there is a huge glitch in the stage where you skip a big portion of the beginning of the level. Just have to be sure to not get crushed here, because that's very easy to happen. Alright, so I'm gonna go up here and get this super ring. I'm not gonna transform immediately though. I'm gonna use the transformation to clip into a wall here. Or not. Oh gosh, we messed that up. So unfortunately, we have to go all the way back up and go around. That's gonna cost us a bunch of time, unfortunately. Don't want to go up. Let's go back down. So if we did the clip, this is where we would end up afterward. But what you're supposed to do is transform when that little block is going up, and you'll transform inside of it and you'll clip into the wall that way. But unfortunately, I messed it up. I got a little too greedy there. Should have just waited. So that literally cost us about 30 seconds or so. And it's stuff like that, that's why I would say the estimate for this game would be about an hour. Even though my PB is 52 minutes, because stuff like that can happen. And you'll miss out on a lot of time. Alright, boss fight coming up. And this one's not too bad. I mean, there is a bit of randomness in his attacks. But it's not like game breaking, where like if he does a certain attack, you lose a bunch of time. You just have to make sure you jump straight into him. But yeah, sadly we lost about 40 seconds. Alright, Metallic Madness from Sonic CD coming up. Now, this stage has one of the hardest tricks in the game. I still have yet to do it in a full run, because it's almost frame perfect. But I'm gonna go for it, just, you know, to attempt to show it off. If you do it, you skip the boss. Which is, like, huge, obviously. If not, you lose about 20 seconds or so. Alright, so we're coming up on the trick now. Oh, actually, never mind, sorry. I lost track of where I was for a second. Now we're coming up on it. So it involves waiting for this enemy, because we will need him. We need to bait him to a certain spot. Alright, let's see if I can do this. Nope, we didn't get it. So you basically need to land on that at the same time that, well, it's kind of hard to explain, but you need to land on that little block at the same time as... Oh, crap. This is so hard to explain, actually, like, while I'm playing. But you need to get hit and land on that at a very specific time. And what'll happen is you will go flying into the background, but you'll be in the wall in the background. And then you can just fly over the boss that way. Anyway, this boss will be familiar if you played Sonic 1. This is somewhat of a remake of the final boss from that game. We normally have Super Tells here, like if I would not have gone for that trick. And this is a little extra part of the boss that was not in Sonic 1. Somewhat of like a pinch mode, I guess you could call it. But yeah, I'm hoping to have people on the couch with me for this game to help me explain things while I'm playing, because again, this is a very hard game to commentate over at times. But yeah, we lose about 30 seconds if we go for that trick and don't make it. But if we make it, we gain about a minute, so it's definitely worth it. But nobody has gotten that trick in a full run yet, unfortunately. At least not as Tails. Alright, so Act 2 is very cycle heavy. But we do have super early, so we should make it. And yep, we just made the cycle. There's one more cycle, though, that we need to try to make. It's at the end of the stage. But so far, so good. This act is actually going pretty well. Alright, now we're just gonna fly to the end of the stage from here. And it looks like we're gonna make that cycle. Oh, we just missed it, never mind. So now we have to wait. That's unfortunate. That was still a pretty good Act 2, though. Alright, this boss has a ton of references in it. Obviously, it's like the first boss from Sonic 1, first boss from Sonic 2, and an Amy doll, which uses the same sprite as Amy from Sonic CD. Alright, now that that's over, since we're Tails, we can just fly up to the boss and hit him that way. Otherwise, you would have to wait. Alright, but that was actually a pretty solid Act 2. Not too bad. Other than the boss, actually. Alright, so we're on the final stage, which is Titanic Monarch, another unique stage to Mania. A very good final stage, in my opinion. Alright, so Titanic Monarch is surprisingly straightforward, especially Act 1. There's no, like, clips or anything. It's just basically getting super mode and trying not to get crushed in very specific sections. Alright, so we're gonna fly up here and skip a small portion of the stage by doing that. But this stage has the gravity balls from the bonus stages of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which are a bit irritating if you don't know how to really control them. But once you know how to do it, it's not so bad. But they can still be a pain, and this is what I'm talking about here. Again, they can still be a pain. Now we're going to transform. We're going to keep that for the rest of the stage. And the rest of this is pretty straightforward. It's almost a set path for the rest of the stage. And the camera really glitches out here if you go through that section quickly. And you have to be careful, because you can get crushed in that little section I did with the spikes. It's much harder to get crushed with Tails, though, because he has a very tiny hitbox. He has the smallest hitbox of any character, actually. That's until Sonic Mania Plus comes out. We don't know if Ray will have a smaller hitbox or not, or Mania for that matter. Oh gosh, I'm really screwing this up. Alright, gotta go up here, on top of the springs. Gosh, I hate these grabbing balls. Alright, there we go. And this is everyone's favorite boss from Sonic & Knuckles, because, you know, Sega just knew that we loved him so much. He wasn't the hardest boss in the game or anything. But at Super Tails, he's a joke. There we go. That takes care of him. And we have the last cutscene skip of the game coming up. So let's see if we get it. Nope. Not much luck on cutscene skips this run, unfortunately. Alright. So, this time it's gonna look like I'm gonna get a 55. Maybe a 54. My PB is 52.59. Then the world record is 52.12 now, I believe. It was actually just gotten a couple of days ago. Alright, Act 2 is kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure thing. There's 4 paths. But we're gonna take this path first, because it has the most rings in it. And we're gonna use those rings to do a clip with Super Tails. But other than that clip, the stage is pretty straightforward. We just have to make sure we don't get hit and lose all our rings. That's the only problem with the stage. That actually happened during my PB, but I was still able to PB. I would have PB by like maybe 30 more seconds ago. If that didn't happen. Alright, so we're gonna get this lightning shield, because it comes in handy. Now we're gonna go to the top right path and transform. And clip into the ceiling here. Oh, first try. That's actually really awesome that that just happened. Alright, gonna collect these extra rings just in case. That's awesome that we got that clip first try. So the reason why I wait to transform there is because normally that clip takes me longer to get. And if it takes long, you know, I'm gonna run lower on the rings. So I transform a little late there just to be safe. Obviously I'm gonna do that during the marathon as well. So we don't want to die during the final boss. That loses about a minute or so. Alright, gotta be careful not to get crushed here, because it can happen easily. But yeah, we got through the clip, so the rest of the stage is, again, pretty straightforward. Alright, one more path left. And again, you can take these in any order. I just take the top left, or the bottom left first, excuse me. That way I can get rings to go for the clip immediately. Just casually, you kind of take whatever path you want. Alright, and we're pretty much done with this. Alright, I don't need the lightning shield anymore. As long as I have enough rings to defeat the boss, I'm okay. And this is the final boss. Now, the final boss normally has a lot of phases to it, but if we do enough hits on him, we'll skip all of them. And with Supercell is that's very easy. You basically just need to wait for him to be vulnerable and just run into him. And 5 hits is the maximum you can get there, so we're doing good. And then 5 hits is the maximum there as well. And next we're gonna get 4 hits. Alright, not a bad act 2 actually. Alright, time is coming up soon after we hit him twice. And there we go. There's our time. 55:49. Not really bad. Obviously I could do much better. My PB is 52:59. My estimate for this run, just to be safe, would be an hour, because a lot of stuff can happen, as you saw. But I should definitely get, you know, under an hour. Alright, and that's my run. Thanks for watching. And just another note, if this run is accepted by the time GDQ Express starts, Sonic Mania Plus is going to be out. And that could potentially be a very different game to run. However, I do have a copy of this game on Switch, which I will not patch. So I can still run this version of the game at GDQ Express. If not, I could run Mania Plus. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. You'll probably want me to run this game since that's what I submitted. Because, you know, who knows if I'll be that good at Mania Plus when this comes out. So either way, thanks for watching. And hope you liked the video.